your life changes when you go through your spiritual awakening and you start realizing some people are not meant for your life, whether it's a partner or a friend or a parent, or those boundaries start kicking in. Like, why am I allowing these people to treat me like this? Why am I allowing my kids to treat me like, you know what I mean? You start really, it's just a whole life transformation. And you start realizing like, oh my God, I treat myself like crap. I let other people treat me like crap. Like, why would anybody take me seriously when I'm just like this, negative Nancy, So it's a whole perspective and a life shift that you get to choose, and you have to put the energy to, and you have to be in charge of the bus. I mean, you can't be sitting in the back seat hoping that, the shit just falls at your feet. Like, you have to actively take part and responsibility for your healing and what works and doesn't work for you, and try what does and doesn't work.
I'm Dr. Williams, and this is my podcast. I have 2 graduate degrees in psychology, am a licensed mental health counselor, and an expert in the area of spirituality. I am devoted to living my best life and am sharing it with all of you. I'm bringing my expertise, education, and life experiences to you through this podcast. Everyone deserves to enjoy life, and that is what I'm here to talk about. Depression, anxiety, grief, you name it, we all go through it at one time or another. I believe there's a better way to come at these things than mainstream mental health care offers, and I'm here to offer you my perspective and dig into discovering how you can feel good no matter what life throws at you. It is my intention to contribute goodness to this world, and the content herein is how I do that. But one disclaimer before we dive in: should you decide to apply the information offered here, be prepared for improvements in your life. You may even live happily ever after, and you'll only have yourself to thank. This is Feel Good Now, the Dr. Williams podcast. I'm here today with Erin Stabile, and she just did a reading for me, and it was amazing. You guys have got to check it out. But today we're going to talk more about Erin and what her spiritual journey has been like, what has led to her understanding her spiritual gifts, and her really unique perspective on how that kind of marries with mental health. So it's perfect for the Dr. Williams podcast because that's what I talk about, is mental health and spirituality. So Erin, I'm really excited to talk with you today. I appreciate you being on the show. Can you go ahead and say hi to everybody and let them know who you are?
Yeah. Hello, world of listeners, wherever you're at. I am Erin Stabile, intuitive medium, Akashic and spiritual mentor. And yeah, long history. Do we want to go into it, or are you going to ask me? I don't know.
Well, I kind of want to start with this whole mental health piece, and kind of your message is owning your healing. And that's kind of what it was for you, right? You were in a really low spot. When you and I were talking, we kind of equated that to rock bottom. And from there, you kind of were like reborn like a phoenix and found your true calling in life. And it was your journey of healing. So I'm hoping you can kind of just share how that came about.
Yeah. I like to say it was the rock bottom of the rock bottoms. It was the final rock bottom before something finally clicked, So I was 39, a lot of trauma in my life. I remember anxiety attacks starting from 2 or 3 years old, anxiety, panic, 2 or 3 years old. My parents didn't have a great relationship, and it did a lot on me. I didn't really fit in with people. I had a lot of spiritual experiences that I didn't understand. So I was completely afraid of the dark. I never really fit in with kids. I just had a hard time. So I felt really kind of alone, and I always just wanted my mom and all of that stuff, and my mom actually died when I was 16. So just a whole nother rupture in the system, and depression and panic and anxiety, all of those things, grief. I didn't know what to do with myself. My parents back then, not that I'm super old, but back then, they didn't really talk about when they got divorced. They didn't talk about, why they got divorced, or I knew what I was witnessing. And I knew what it was doing to me, but nobody ever said. I always thought it was my fault. I always thought I was a bad kid. I always thought, all of that stuff. And it just lingers on. I didn't know what to do with it. Didn't know how to process emotions. So I focused on helping other people. I could innately read other people, their energy, how they were feeling. I always tried to make them feel better because I did not have that in my life. I did not have anybody who tried to make me feel better, tried to make sure I was safe or comfortable. And I stopped expecting it in return because I never got it. So fast forward, a couple really bad relationships and a bad engagement. And I just remember kind of throwing down and being like, okay, I want somebody that I can trust, that I can have kids with, that I never have to worry that if he says he's going to be out with his friends, that's what he's doing. Because I had to worry about that with my ex. And it was like this moment of clarity. I've been drinking a whole bunch. And I just remember, I just heard this voice in my head. And it was just like, if you don't stop drinking now, because there's alcoholism in my family, you're going to have a problem. And it was just like, well, that was weird. And shortly after that, that was when I kind of threw down and said, I want to find somebody that I can trust and, have children with, and that's going to work. And, all of the things that I wanted on my list. And it was like, God finally heard me, because then I met my husband of almost 20 years here in a couple of weeks. And we had 2 kids, but I still wasn't happy, like still depression and panic. And I'd had some injuries, so I had chronic pain, and I just hated my life.
Yeah.
I was fortunate to have a good husband and good kids. And while they're challenging as all hell now, they're teenagers, they're still good kids, and we had a home and we have cars and we have food, but I wasn't happy. We were just always getting by, and it was taking the kids to school and working and doing everything for everybody else. And there was no happiness and no joy. And after my accident, I gained a lot of weight, and the depression got even worse because it took a lot of things from me, mobility. And at 39, I was like, fuck, I got to do something. And it was after my brother's wedding, and his wife wanted us to go all day long taking pictures for this. And I was like, I can't do it. Like, I was in so much pain. And I just looked at my husband and was like, I got to have this gastric sleeve surgery. So it's basically cut out half of your stomach to help you lose weight.
Wow. Oh, so your pain was from being overweight.
Something had happened to my knee. And after 7 years, no doctors could. Everybody was like, you're fine. So they kept giving me shots, and I'm like, I'm not fine. I can't walk. So then, I couldn't be physically active. So I gained a ton of weight. I was in so much pain, and they're like, you're fine. I'm like, I'm not fine. I'm not fine. So finally I got a new doctor, and he's like, we could do this high tibial osteotomy, which is they cut a big part of my leg out and they put a big plate in. Because I want to run again. I want to jump. I want to play sports. I want to take my kids on hikes. Like, I couldn't do those things anymore.
Well, no wonder you were depressed.
Yeah. And I was in so much pain, and I was so overweight. And he's like, but you have to lose weight. And I was like, okay. So I had gastric sleeve surgery because that was going to be the fastest way for me to start losing weight. Obviously, weight loss isn't a thing, and it's not the easy way out. It's fucking hard, because then you start trading your weight for body dysmorphia and other issues. But I had lost enough weight to have that surgery. And so it was probably like 8 months after my weight loss surgery. That healing recovery from my gastric surgery, I was like, I need something, because it was like literally Christmas time. I met my deductible. I'm like, you know what I mean? You have to get all that last end of the year stuff in while you've met your deductible. And I just remember in recovery within the couple of days, I was like, I have got to figure out what to change my life. I'm tired of hating my life. I'm tired of, even though I love my husband and kids, like, I hated my life. There's nothing to look forward to. There was no joy. There was no happiness. It was just, you go to work and you're like, pay the bills, and it sucks. And within a couple of weeks, I met my spiritual mentor. And I followed her for just a short amount of time. I had a private session with her, and she's like, I think you should try Reiki for chronic pain. Not have a session, but like get attuned to Reiki. So like I could do it myself. And I'm like, can you do that on like virtually? And she's like, I don't know. I've never done it before. But so she kind of asked her spirit team, and they're like, yeah, we can totally do that. So she started offering online Reiki attunements, and I went all the way through Reiki Master Teacher. But as soon as I started Reiki, I was like, holy fuck, what is this? Everything exploded. My intuition, spirit, everything just like exploded. Like as soon as I started Reiki, I'm like, oh my God. But it was really, truly a wake up call and a healing, because like I had to, every emotion and trauma that I had stuffed down for 39 years started to come up. Spirit was all over my shit. Like I was seeing them, I was hearing them, I could feel them. I was like, oh my God, I'm totally losing my mind. And Spirit was like, if you don't start processing this stuff, you just start getting autoimmune issues and stomach issues and like pain and all of the other stuff, because you stuff down your trauma. It has to manifest, and it manifests in your body. And so I had to learn to meditate. I have ADHD, I have anxiety, I have panic, I have depression. So I don't want people here saying I can't because I have. So did I. And it was a choice. It was a choice that I had to finally start to heal. And it was a choice to every single day to show up for myself, to meditate, to process the hardship that was coming up. And when I'm being triggered, when, my kids are pissing me off or somebody at work or whatever it was, like I had to start facing what was coming down. And what was coming down was I had to start facing everything I had stuffed down for 39 years because I did not know what to do with my emotions.
Yeah.
So my healing process was way harder. When you do Reiki, you have a cleanse period. And to me, it's the equation of rock bottom whenever I cleanse or do things because I had stuffed so much down my entire life. But if you're somebody who's slightly processed your emotions, might be a little bit better. But it completely changed my life. So what I started learning was my anxiety is almost non-existent. My panic is non-existent. My depression is non-existent. I still have ADHD and I'm trying to figure out how to sort that out. But now I'm in control of spirit. They're not all over the place. My energy's not all fucked. And I started to learn how much other people's energy affected me. And that means when my heart rate starts kicking up, when I start having a panic attack, it's not mine. It's somebody else's. But I know that now. So I was having other people's panic attacks on top of my own panic attacks.
Wow.
So
that's amazing.
If you're just a normal person listening to this, normal meaning you haven't done your spiritual awakening or you're not investing in your healing and intuitive journey, other people's energy affects you 150%. So if you're fine and Mary in your office is a nagging bitch and she comes into you and says how much of a headache and she's complaining and bitching, and then you're negative and complaining and bitching and kind of have a headache, you're taking on other people's energy. Social media, grocery shopping, doesn't matter. Clearing and protecting your energy will change your life.
Oh my gosh. I feel like so many people right now are being like, that's what's happening to me.
Yeah.
Connecting the dots.
And that simple little step, even if you don't want to be an intuitive medium like myself, everybody has the gifts, everybody has the capability. Whether you choose to use it or not is 100% up to you. But understanding energy protection and clearing will change your life. My kids, every day I was taking them to school, I was like, why do I want to murder somebody? It's literally 7:00 in the morning. And I figured out it was them. They're teenagers. They're around other teenagers. They have the same gifts that I do. So now they get cleared every day. And now the amount of rage is minimal. And then by the end of the day, we just have to clear again. But
so it's a sensitivity.
Yeah.
A sensitivity to the energy that's around you, but you're also taking it on like a sponge.
Yes. That's what I say. You're a sponge. You're the energy vampires in your life, whatever. I mean, your spouse, your partner, your kids, your parents, they can all affect your mental health, your spiritual health, your physical health. Other people's anxiety, panic, fear can affect your anxiety, panic, and fear, and they can exacerbate it. So I started to learn that as long as I kept myself clear and protected, my clients, I know with my clients, I know if it's family, but I know I was totally fine. Now I'm not. So I know that so-and-so is causing me issues. So I either protect against them next time or I get to the root of what's going on with them. So it's easy for me now. Now that I know what my gifts are, before I could always read people and understand and get to whatever was really going on with them pretty easily. And be like, well, either do this or do that, But now I know intuition wise and spirit, so I know what it is now, but it's you don't have to hold on to other people's shit. You can still help them, feel sorry for them, whatever they're going through. But as soon as you're done with them, you clear it and be done. I like to do stuff simple and easy. You can use a pendulum. You can just ask God, spirit, universe, the angels to clear you to be done. It doesn't have to be a process. You don't have to meditate for 5 hours. If I can't do shit while I'm sitting on the toilet, and then I'm not going to do it. In the car while I'm driving, on the toilet, whatever it is. I don't have 8 hours a day to meditate in.
Right. For me, it's the shower.
Yeah. You can do all the stuff simple and easily. And that's how, when I mentor people, it has to be easy. I have ADHD. I don't have 4 hours because I have a 5-minute attention span. So if I can't whip it up and be done, it can't be done. But it's your responsibility.
One thing I wanted to say about your journey. Here you're talking about, rock bottom, the rock bottom of rock bottom. And even though you had good things in your life, everything was negative, right? You could not find happy. You were kind of stuck down in that lower part of the emotional guidance scale that I talk about on the podcast. And you had a lot of momentum going, a lot of negative momentum, and a lot of focus on it.
Always glass half empty. You know what I mean? There's nothing to look forward to. And
it's not that the good things weren't there, but the focus on them was not as big as the focus on all the bad stuff.
Yep, because it was more negative usually.
Then you come into this Reiki, right, with this spiritual guide, we could call her, right? And now you gain clarity. So all of that stuff led to this huge life-altering experience for you, which ultimately is a turning point, a wonderful, positive turning point for you. So is it safe to say that you appreciate that 39 years of negativity because it offered you such a grand clarity, which brought you to where you were meant to be? Isn't this so much fun to listen to this conversation? This could be you. Do you guys want to be on the show? If you do, go to drwilliamspodcast.com and go to my scheduling calendar and set up a free 30-minute pre-interview call. You have something to say. We all do. So if you want to be a guest on the show, set up the time so that we can talk about it and see if we can formulate an episode around what you have to share about your unique perspective on life. For now, we'll just get back to this interview.
It is. And, everything happens when it's supposed to happen, why it's supposed to happen. I have been through way more trauma and witnessed way more death and dying and pain than most people. And Spirit always just says, you witness that because you have to help others through it. I'm like, but I need a break. Like, I remember at 18 telling my grandma, she's like, God only gives things to people that can handle it. I'm like, I'm 18, Grandma, I'm done. Would I have wanted it to start in my early 20s? Yes, but maybe I wouldn't have met my husband and maybe I wouldn't have my kids. Like, everything happens how it's supposed to happen. Good, the bad, the negative. And everything is a lesson and is not a punishment. If bad shit keeps happening to you, what can you learn from it? What did you gain from it at the end? Like, and it's hard when you're in the thick of it to think, well, something good's going to come out of this shithole. Like, no, like it is. But now I have that perspective of, okay, Spirit, I know you're really messing with me. And I know something's coming and I don't need to know what it is, but I know that whatever's happening right now, even though if it's a low, yucky thing, something better is coming out of it. But you also have to have that mindset to know God's Spirit universe is going to be there to provide you and protect you and to make shit better for you. But it's a choice in your mindset you have to make. It's not about being perfect. My rule is 80-20. 80% of your day, be in a good place. Talk to Spirit. Ask Spirit for what you want. Like, try to be in a good place. And it's not bathtub and rainbows lifetime. It's that other 20% of your day. You can have road rage and honk at people and scream and be like, screw the world, I'm not going to do it. And screw my teenagers, they suck, they're the worst. But it's 80% of your mindset in your day is in a good place. Like, you can have 20%. You know what I mean? It's like half a cupcake. Like, you're totally fine. But it's that not staying in it.
Your focus turned inward.
Mm-hmm.
So whereas before it was like these external things were happening to you and you were hating it. And then once you knew you had this connection with this bigger power, you, source energy, now you start looking to that for, okay, why is this happening? And you're looking for the guidance. You're tuning into it, tuning into the guidance and using it in a positive direction. And that could help everybody doing that. If you can experience negativity in that way, that changes your life.
Yep. And you can't have the good without the bad. You can't have the ugly without the positive. You can't, I mean, it's the yin and yang. And, I mean, like last year, my daughter's car blew up and then something else happened. Like within a couple of days, my grandma died. My husband's dad died. Like, I'm like, holy fuck, really? Is this where we're going? But I just knew. So usually it takes me a day. I have a bad day and maybe I'm real pissy and just whatever. But then the next day I'm like, okay, Spirit, what do we need to do about this? Is it something I need to do to clear, to process? What do I need to do about it? Am I causing it? Am I making it worse? And then what else can I do about it? I have to take my responsibility. If it's me dragging it out or making it worse or complaining or bitching or whatever, take my responsibility, but then ask Spirit, God, universe, okay, now what do I do about it?
Yeah.
Are you working on your part? What else could I be doing? What should I be doing? And it's asking for help, which I'm not good at. The best thing you can do for yourself is to let go of control, get rid of that programming and your ego. And if you calm all that stuff down, like control is a big thing of survival. You want to control your environment, control your thoughts, control everything that happens because you've had so much unpredictability. I started that when I was 16 when my mom died. If I didn't know why that person was in my life or what they were there for, or like I had a very strict, rigid, so now you have to let go of that control so you can have a better connection to Spirit and you can manifest more and do all the things that you want. Like I quit my corporate job a couple months ago. It was super toxic and it was destructive to my mental health. And I'm just building up my spiritual business and praying every single day that money comes in to pay our bills and letting it be. There's days where it's lower and I'm a little bit more scared. But I know like God's Spirit universe is going to take care of me. Like
I love that too, that you're taking your day. Say you have a bad day. We all have bad days.
Mm-hmm. And it's okay to have a bad day.
Yeah, totally okay. But it's okay to embrace that and be like, okay, today was a bad day. I'm going to sleep, which we know stops all momentum, and then start the day on a good foot. And that's what you do. You tune into source from the very beginning the next day, and that changes momentum. That gets that negative stuff from yesterday. You're kind of doing a clearing in doing that. You're saying, okay, that was yesterday. Now I'm going to focus here, and I'm going to have a better day. But I also started thinking about how this notion the other day came to me about how it's easier to blame than be accountable, because blaming feels a little bit better than guilt.
Mm-hmm.
So we have a tendency to do that, take that kind of victim mentality and be like, these things are happening to me. This person is being this way to me. But you can speak to this. What happens when you do take responsibility for it all?
It's a real bitch slap. It's not easy. And, and everything now that happens to me or happens in life in general, what was my part in it? Have I exacerbated it? And what do I need to do about it? Do I need to apologize? Was I wronged? Were they trying to harm me? Did I overreact? Like, there's this whole process now that I do with myself and my clients. Like, you have to get to the root of it. Why? Why is it coming up? Why is this trigger happening? What happened? You have to take full responsibility. Like, you can't take responsibility for somebody that harms you on purpose in whatever way, but you can take responsibility for letting it go and moving past it and figuring out how to move past it. Maybe it's Reiki and therapy and medication, whatever it is that you need, but it's up to you to figure it out. Nobody's going to drop on your feet the plan and the method that you need to release and let go.
And once you do that, once you do take responsibility for it, now you do have control over your life. Because when you understand that the vibration that you are offering is what you get back. So it's kind of a message. Okay, the person in the coworker at work that you're talking about, you're experiencing her in that way because of a vibration you're offering. That's just the way law of attraction works. So you can't receive anything that you're not offering. And that sucks because you're like, oh, I really just want to blame that person. I don't want it to be about what I'm doing. But when you do, you can turn it around. And all of a sudden, now she's not acting like that anymore. She's like a whole different person because you change the vibration. You can control your reality.
Yep. And, I like to tell that, like I do sometimes, usually before the holidays, I do like 30 days and 30 ways to clear and protect your energy, because not everybody's parties or families are fun and exciting. Like, go into that party and have absolutely no intention of allowing political or any type of rants to get to you. This is going to be a fun conversation. It's going to be easy. There's going to be no confrontation. Does it always happen? No. But this is also where you have to create personal boundaries. If they start talking shit that I don't like, I'm just going to leave and I'm not going to explain it. And that's okay. Like, this is all a big part of your healing process, creating boundaries for yourself, creating boundaries for spirit. And what are you going to keep allowing in your life? What are you going to keep accepting? Are you going to keep letting people treat you like crap or walk all over you? Relationships, boyfriends, girlfriends, friends, whatever, and what are you doing to yourself? How shitty are you talking to yourself? How bad are you treating yourself? Are you putting yourself bottom of the list, even though, yes, you're a mom and you're having these things, but you know what? When I started putting myself to the top of the list, my kids started to shift, and I started to notice my kids saying, we're too poor for that. We can't do that. I'm like, we're not poor. We are not broke. We have money. That is just not a priority right now. So I even had to I started noticing, like, when I started shifting, like, even how my kids were talking, they were little, like when I started my journey 8 and 12, I'm like, no, guys, we're not poor and we're not broke. And I said, I even had to tell my husband, like, dude, get off the negative train or get the fuck out. I said, I can't do it anymore. I'm trying to change this. And, so I didn't really realize how toxic my whole house was just by the way that my husband and I just naturally were, so, and you get to choose and decide, like,
did you turn it around?
Yeah.
I mean, did your energy shift it for everybody else?
Yeah. So when we moved last year, January, I said, okay, by June 1st, we're moving. And we've been trying to move for 19 years. And I said, it's it. I don't care. And so I put big things into play. I did a ton of work on my house. My dad helped. And we moved in June 1st. And we had to sell my house. We had to do a whole bunch of extra stuff that we weren't planning on. And my husband's like, whatever, do your magic to make sure that the bill is way lower than we were expecting to pay $8,000. I think we ended up paying $4,000. He goes, do your magic. So, like, he doesn't fully get what I do, but he knows that it's important. You know what I mean? Like, he doesn't poo-poo it. He doesn't negate it. And, if you have partners or whatever in your life that are negating your things, like, your life changes when you go through your spiritual awakening and you start realizing some people are not meant for your life, whether it's a partner or a friend or a parent, or those boundaries start kicking in. Like, why am I allowing these people to treat me like this? Why am I allowing my kids to treat me like, you know what I mean? You start really, it's just a whole life transformation. And you start realizing, like, oh my God, I treat myself like crap. I let other people treat me like crap. Like, why would anybody take me seriously when I'm just like this, negative Nancy, So it's a whole perspective and a life shift that you get to choose, and you have to put the energy to, and you have to be in charge of the bus. I mean, you can't be sitting in the back seat hoping that, the shit just falls at your feet. Like, you have to actively take part and responsibility for your healing and what works and doesn't work for you, and try what does and doesn't work. I have some clients who are like, I can't meditate because I have anxiety. I'm like, so do I. You keep telling yourself it's not going to work, then it's never going to work. And you can't keep coming to me saying that, my anxiety is so bad, I don't know what to do. I've given you 1,000 steps and you choose not to do it. I cannot do it for you, and
have you been this person as that person was for you who started your Reiki journey? Have you been that person for other people who have come, they've been in a similar state that you were in, and all of a sudden it explodes for them?
Yeah. And it's cool to witness, because it's like, once we break them through the patterns and the habits and the things that are holding them back mentally, is usually our lifetime's kind of trauma. I'm not trauma informed. I'm not a trauma therapist. I'm not trauma. Like, that is not what I do. I help people figure out where those blocks are coming from. Is it a past life like the Akashic Records? It's just a combination of things. Like, spirit tells me what you're saying to yourself. So I know how bad you're talking to yourself. Even though you say you're doing all the work, I know how shitty you're talking to yourself. And we have to eradicate all of it, because spirit explains it to me like this: the more that we can heal mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally, the higher we can be connected with our gifts, the faster our gifts get, the easier our gifts get, the more, it's just, the more you shed the baggage of this, the more spirit can bring you, the more you can manifest, the more that you can have mental freedom. Like, I didn't know what mental freedom was. Not having panic attacks and anxiety and overwhelm 24/7, 365. Some days I'm just like, shit, am I supposed to be doing like, you know what I mean? I'm not planning out every second of my life. And it's like, you have so much mental freedom and you're like, wait. So I like to say it's like taking the weighted blanket off of yourself, and you're like, oh, that's weird. Like, I don't feel like I want to murder somebody, or I don't have rage, or, aside from driving, I'm a road rager when I drive, but that's just not going to change. That's just what it is. But like, you don't have that 24/7.
Well, I have a driving behavior episode coming out. You listen to it.
I've never actively engaged on it, but my husband does not like that I use my horn. He goes, we're going to get murdered in our car. I'm like, it's fine.
But you're right. When you're living it every day, that feels normal, and you don't know there's another option.
Mm-hmm.
So trying some of these things could really change your life in the best way. You just have to give it a go, even if it's a little uncomfortable. Doing a reading, looking at past lives. Like, a lot of people are like, oh, that's some woo-woo stuff, right? They don't.
Mm-hmm.
It freaks them out. But it's worth at least trying it to see if it can make a difference for you. So let's tell people how they can get in contact with you so that they can do a reading with you and maybe start their own spiritual awakening journey, or at least finding some improvements to some of their mental health struggles.
Yeah. So you can find me at vintagemoons.com, and I do have free resources on there. You can try the meditation that I've created to access your Akashic Records. I have free clearings. One of them is called Clear the Mindfuckery, just to clear your mind, like some chakras. There's a whole bunch of different things that you can even just try. But vintagemoons.com, and then Erin Vintage Moons, ERIN Vintage Moons for Instagram. And that's on all the socials, Pinterest, YouTube, all those. And the biggest thing I have to say with it is, whatever you just put it out there, God, Spirit, Universe, whoever it is that you're working with or want to work with, whatever, just say, what do I need? Bring me something that's going to help. You have to ask, allow, receive. Ask for what you want. Allow it to come to you, and receive it when it comes. So maybe you just keep saying this thing for breath work and you're like, that's stupid. Why would I do that? You have to go into it with an open mind. If you sign up for that, just say, okay, God, I'm going to be open. I'm going to be open to whatever you have to bring me for this. Doesn't matter. Reiki, acupuncture, you come to me for a session, doesn't matter. As long as you're open to trying, that's when your life will start shifting. But if you keep that negative gate closed and you're like, nothing's going to work, nothing ever worked, because that's how I was. Nothing's ever worked. Why would I keep wasting my time, energy, or money? But you have to be the one to open the gate and, put the brick in front of it and stop letting it close. Like, you have to open it and allow it to work, because it's not like it just happens overnight, so.
I agree. So I encourage you guys to go ahead and reach out to Erin and try a reading, or even if you just really like her energy, because when I started talking to Erin, I was like, wow, this person is really open and warm. And I love your energy so much. So even if you just kind of want a little dose of it to get to know her, then follow her. Go to the social media pages, follow. She's got wonderful stuff on there that you can kind of just receive some of that good energy and maybe work up to feeling like you want to have a reading or do something more. So thank you so much for being here and sharing yourself with my audience. I really appreciate it a lot.
Absolutely. I'm really glad that we could be on. And I love doing these with people because it's like you get to know their story and know what they're about. And it's just such a cool thing to be open to. So I appreciate it.
That concludes this episode, but if you don't want to wait for the next episode to come out, I have more for you at drwilliamspodcast.com. You can learn more about me and my journey to podcasting, find all the ways to connect with me on social media, and there's a button to subscribe so you're the first to know what's new and upcoming. You also can shoot me an email at hello@drwilliamspodcast.com. You are so special to me, and your support does not go unnoticed. I want to support you too. This podcast is my outlet for growth, because when you teach something, you hold yourself accountable and apply the information in life. But the inspiration for these episodes comes in a variety of ways, and one of those is through you. I want you to feel like this is your show too. So send me a message and let me know which episode is your favorite and why. And tell me if there's a topic you'd want to hear me talk about. Your feedback applies to so many people, and your suggestion could change someone's life for the better. The best way to do this is by subscribing to the show and leaving a review through your favorite podcast platform. I really listen to you guys, and this dialogue feeds my soul. You say that you're a fan of me, but truth be told, I am a fan of yours. Everything is working out for each of us, and we're all in this together.